Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Dean Mandel with Viamark Advertising. So just to tell you a little bit about me, I've worked my whole career in advertising and marketing with large national brands. I've had some pretty big jobs. I've been involved in some committees. I've spoken at events. And I could do almost anything I want in the advertising space, but one of the things I chose to do was work with small and medium-sized businesses because I really feel that they're getting, I don't want to say getting screwed, but they have bad experiences with marketing and advertising, and I think I can help them fix that. So what are the reasons small businesses don't do well? Well, I think it's because they kind of use the plug from air system, the PFA system. So I call it plug from air. Basically, they get approached by media vendors all the time. They say to them, you know, here's my pitch. If I'm selling radio, I'm going to tell you, here's a whole bunch of radio spots. I'm going to give you a bunch for free. I'll produce the commercial for you. Maybe the TV cable guy does the same thing. The SEO guy, the website guy. The next thing you know, you're spending a lot of money. Nothing's working together. Nothing's working right. And it's just not working for you. So I've got a better idea. I like to use the BMT system. You know, first thing you got to do is figure out what your budget is. Then come up with what your message is and how you get it across and who you're trying to reach. And then tracking the ROI. That's really important. I think most businesses, when they do advertising, they don't track the ROI. They sort of have a feeling. And that's not the way to do it. You really got to really look at what's happening and what's working. So the first thing you do is come up with your budget. So we've got a formula. All right, so in the formula, we're going to try to figure out what's the lifetime value of a customer, and then figure out how that works. So let's start from the beginning. So for a customer, it's how much revenue does each customer generate, say, annually, right? How many years on average do you keep the customer? And then how many additional customers can you handle? Because I think a lot of people jump into the advertising and they say, yeah, give me 1,000 more customers. They get it, and now they can't run their business. So we want to look at that. And then figure out what percentage of that revenue am I willing to use to get that many customers? So let's look at it on a, right on the chalkboard here. So basically, an example of that would be, say your average customer bill, say $200 a month, right? Stays with you for 10 years. So what's that customer worth? That customer's worth $2,400 a year times 10 years, which is $24,000, okay? Maybe you can handle an additional 100 customers in a year. So 24,000 times 100 is 2.4 million in revenue, right? Now, how much are you willing to spend to get to that revenue? 5%, usually 5 to 10% is what advertisers spend. So if you're willing to spend 5% to get there, your budget would be 120,000 or about 10,000 a month. So that's kind of how you lay out how you figure out your budget and try to come up with what it's going to be. And you have to believe in it. So that's the big thing. So one of the things you want to do is you want to talk about the right message, going to the right person, the right place, the right time, and on any device. Because the way advertising people do now, they're all in different places doing different things, and you got to know who you're reaching and where you want to reach them. Tracking is really important. John Wanamaker said, half of the money I spend on advertising works, I just don't know which half. Well, these days, you really got to know which half, and we're going to help you do that. So we're going to look at no matter what advertising we're doing, whether it's digital or not, we're going to look at your Google Analytics, and we're going to look for trends. So if we do an ad campaign, does your web traffic increase? While we're looking at it, during the week we did it, do you have more clicks on your website? What about social media? Is your social media engagement increasing? Those are signs that it's working. But then there's the crazy stuff that people forget about, like if your business is based on phone calls, are you getting more calls this week because we did something? Are you asking your customers, how did I hear about you? Store traffic. I mean, we could get an intern to stand in your store with a clicker the week before we do advertising and just click away every time a customer comes in, and then the week we do advertising and the week after, and we could look and see. Did it work? And come up with those reasons. And bottom line is revenue. Don't be afraid. You know, we're going to have a relationship. Let's look at your revenue. Let's have revenue goals. And let's see if we're actually increasing revenue by the ad campaign that we're running. And if we're not, we're going to make fixes. And we're going to do it on a weekly basis. So talking about your brand, this is pretty much what an advertising agency does. So we're not a media vendor. We work with media vendors. We love media vendors. But we come in and we look at the whole picture. We're sort of a general contractor. So we're going to help you with things like your brand identity. We're going to help you manage your media vendors. How much time do you want to spend in your office talking to different media vendors who come in? That's where we come in, because if you hire us and you trust us, any media vendor that comes in, you say, talk to my agency. And then we'll talk to them, we'll evaluate the product. If I think it's something that might work for you, I'll bring it to you, and we'll talk about it and see how it works within the rest of the plan that we're working on. We do local and national media placement, analysis again, big on that, budget recommendations, and we take a tradigital approach. What tradigital means is, it's not about, there's so many silos, like I'm a digital agency, I only do digital stuff, or I'm a traditional agency, I only do traditional stuff. That's not the way your business works. Your business works because you're going to reach the right person at the right time on whatever device, and that's what we help you do. So let's talk about story branding, which is kind of a cool thing. It's all about heroes. Heroes have a lot of things in common in classic stories. They all have a great story. For instance, Superman, his parents flew him to Earth because he's going to grow up and be the savior of the planet and help the planet. Batman, he saw watch his parents die, and what he wants to find out, what he wants to do is make sure that doesn't happen to anybody else. You know, and of course we got to throw Wonder Woman in the mix because she kicked both their butts in the box office this year, so we got to put her on there. So a classic story is good and evil, and the main theme going forward is going to be talking about how your business could be the story and how we could figure out who the heroes are. And so, you know, let's start with the story. Story Brand is a great book if you want to go out and get it, Donald Miller. A lot of businesses are looking at that, the way of pushing your business by telling a story as opposed to just who I am and what I'm doing. Marketing is no longer about the stuff you make, it's the stories you tell. So why is that? I mean, I think because our brains are wired that way, and you know better than me on that. People want simplicity, clarity, and we're hardwired that way. That's what we want. So the idea is you want to have a story that evokes emotion, makes it compelling, and that's going to make people you know, repeat it and buy your product more. So let's look at a typical story. What's interesting about this is every story has a structure. You got a character. The character's got some kind of a problem. There's a mentor, some kind of guide or mentor that helps him out. Gives him a plan, there's a call to action, and the action either results in success or failure. Every story since the Bible is structured that way. So let's look at an example. Who's a Star Wars fan? So in Star Wars, Luke Skywalker's your hero. He's got a problem. It's the evil empire. Is he a Jedi? Obi-Wan Kenobi, he's been there. He understands. He tells Luke what he needs to do. You got to trust the Force. Go defeat the Empire. That's the call to action. And either you destroy the Death Star or the rebellion's crushed. I mean, that's the Star Wars story. So now let's talk about your business. You need a character. All right? The main character, the hero of the story. Who's that going to be? Is that you? Your brand? No. It's actually your customer. So let me show you what I'm talking about. This is a typical auto ad.
During Chevy Truck Month, the Curtis Chevrolet difference is our commitment to you. A commitment to helping you find the right Silverado at the right price to fit your budget. A commitment to service that provides our customers with easy-to-follow service plans. A commitment backed by the Curtis Chevrolet lifetime warranty, protecting you well beyond the manufacturer's coverage. At Curtis Chevrolet, our commitment goes further during Chevy Truck Month. Find new roads, higher standards, exceeding expectations. Curtis Chevrolet.
Who's the hero in that?
The customer.
No.
Oh.
The dealer. He's got a picture of him. He's talking about how great his dealership is. He's talking about how wonderful it is. Now let's look at a different way of an auto dealer doing a commercial.
Phillips Farms has been in our family. I'm the 4th generation now. Our crops are pumpkins, strawberries, Christmas trees. So you get your hands dirty. You got to work hard. We always use Chevy trucks.
We love customers like Phillips Farms. They're honest, hardworking folks that just love to have fun. So we enjoy supplying them with the Chevrolet trucks.
At John Easter Chevrolet, we always get a good fair price, and they're always true to their word.
For farm fresh fun, come to Phillips Farms of Cary.
For all your automotive needs, get off the keeper, go to Heath.
Pretty good.
So in this case, the customer was the hero. So if you look at that, there's the customer had a problem, and there's 3 kinds of problems you could have. Hopefully I do this in time. You got an external problem, internal problem, philosophical problem. So the external problem for the commercial we just saw is that Phillips Farms needs solid heavy-duty equipment. That's their external problem. But the internal problem is, this guy Michael, he's the 4th generation farmer. He's going to be taking over the business. Is he going to be successful? He's worried about it. And then the philosophical stuff is, will good win out in the end? Is the family farm going to make it in today's industry? That's all built into that commercial and built into that story. And if you could do all 3, you're going to sell the product better. Meets a guide who understands, and that's you. This is where your business comes in, because your business would be the guide. You've been there, you know it, you're the person who helps them out, and remember, it's not about you, it's about your customer. I'm trying to read through this now. And you give them a plan. There's 2 kinds of plans. You've got a process plan and an agreement plan. The process plan is, if you do A, B, and C, D is going to happen. So Geico has that. Give us 15 minutes, we'll save you money on your car insurance. But an agreement plan is a little bit different, so it's hard to read. But if you look at the CarMax website, basically they give you a list of things, compare different makes and models, apply for financing, etc. So it's saying if you do these things, you're going to get a really good car. So it's an implied kind of a process plan, a little bit different. And the call to action, I'm going to show you 2 quick websites really here. So you've got the Lucas Research website, right on the website, get started, learn more. This furniture website, schedule now, watch video. Call to action, right on the website, tells you what to do. And you got to give them a call to action. and it results in success. I'm going to play a successful.
The moments you
Here's a
live,
commercial that focuses on success.
don't let your child's diabetes interrupt their moments.
So it's not about the
At
doctor
Lucas
and what he
Research,
does. It's
we want
about
life to be about your
children.
moments with your children. That's why we believe in research. Learn how you can help your diabetic son or daughter at lucasresearch.org.
So that hammers the success of what you're trying to do. And then finally, just the story brand framework. Remember, and I'm going to whiz through this because I'm out of time.
Yeah, don't worry.
Your brand is not the hero your customer is. The guide must empathize and have authority in order to be trusted. Companies sell solutions to external problems, but customers buy solutions to internal problems. And a plan is a bridge from interested customer to converted buyer. You got to have a plan. You got to tell them what to do. And unless you give them a call to action, they're not going to engage with you. You know, that's nice, thank you, and then move on. You got to say, do this. You got to go. And you know, sometimes if you're not helping your customer avoid something negative, they're not going to make a purchase. And unless you show them a successful ending to the story, they're not going to make a purchase. And that's how you get in touch with them. And that's my job. It was beautiful.
That was good. Yeah, it was very good.
So,
I have two questions. I don't know if they're the same. That slide that you showed at the beginning, the tracking slide, is that something that you do before you present a proposal to a client? In other words, there's all those kind of things that you would track. I can't remember them all right now. In other words, do you go into a client and do some type of assessment of what they have already and present to them what's possible before you even talk about your fees and stuff, or not?
So what I do is I do a marketing analysis where I have a list of, it's really 2 pages of questions, where I go through everything from who's your biggest competitor, what do you do better than your competitors, what do your competitors do better than you, what advertising are you using currently, what kind of budgets do you have. I go through that whole process with them. I also do an analysis of their website. I run it through a program which will then tell you, you know, how's your SEO looking, how's your SEM looking, you know, how's your social media connections to the website looking, and I kind of run that for free. And then we talk about, I ask the customer, I ask him that question, how are we going to track success? So if you hire me to help you with your marketing, a month from now, 3 months from now, what's going to be your decision? Should we keep going or not? Is it more clicks to your website? Is it more people in your store? Is it how much revenue you're earning? You know, whatever that metric is, and then we figure out, based on that, that's the kind of reporting we're going to give you. So we want to track that metric and adjust accordingly. So it's, if we do something for a couple, you got to do it for 2 or 3 weeks. Really, you really got to do something for 3 months to make sure it's really working. But within that 3 months, you want to be able to say, here's what we did. Here looks like some of the results. We expected it to be here. It's here. It's wonderful. Or we expected it to be here. It's here. What do we got to do to get it here? You know, and then we work that way.
Now, you said also when we met for the one-to-one, you have a certain fee that you go by, like a percentage of someone's advertising budget. But what about, would you consider, is it normal, abnormal, whatever it is, to go with someone who cannot afford your ideal? They don't have a $10 million budget, but have some kind of an agreement with them, whereas they do, as their business does better, there's the incentive for you because you'll get more and more percentage of that business.
So there's
did I say that right?
No, that's exactly right, and I actually presented that.
Okay, because I think that's a very good idea for small business. What I mean is by people that you don't feel you just spinning your wheels, that there really is push because you believe in it, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I get paid 2 different ways. So on the media or technology that we're using, like let's say we're building a website, because I'm an ad agency, I get discounted fees. And I don't pass that on to the customer. I tell them what it is, so they know. But if you were to go to the vendors that I use, or you were to go to a local radio station, local television station, and try to buy advertising time, it's going to cost you 15% more than it's going to cost me. So I'm very transparent about that, and I'll tell you. But if, let's say, you're doing a TV commercial for $100,000 for the year, I get $15,000 automatically. And like I said, if you went to the TV station to buy it, you'd have to spend $100 for the same type of commercial. In fact, probably more because I'll negotiate it better. Because I'm good. On top of that, I get what we like to call a client service fee or a retainer. That's where I do kind of what you're saying. So normally it's anywhere from $500 to $2,000 a month. I usually don't go over that, depending on the size of your budget and how much time I'm going to have to spend working with all the different vendors and working with you and learning all that kind of stuff. So what I'll do is I'll figure out what level you should be at, and if it's a customer that I think is not going to be able to pay it at first, what I will say to them is I will say exactly what you're saying. Let's figure out a way to do this where, so if we think that we're going to increase your revenue from this percentage to this percentage, so what we'll say is if the revenue doesn't increase or only increases, let's say we say it's going to increase 15%, between 0 and 10%, I don't make any fee. All right, between 5 and 10%, I make less than I would normally make. And if we get to the 15%, I make what I would normally want to make. And if we go over, then I make more. So at the end of the day, or at the end of the year, we're going to look at it, and we're going to say, all right, so here's how much you paid in fees. If we did a flat fee, it would have been here. But because we did it this way, it cost you nothing in the beginning, but at the end of the day, you wind up about here. So now next year, let's renegotiate. Let's just make it a flat fee because we trust each other, it's working, and we'll continue there. So exactly what you're saying is what I do. And I love doing it that way because I want you to succeed. And if I could time my revenue with succeeding, I'm going to work. Not that I'm going to work harder to make it succeed. I'm going to work it either way, but it's just a good incentive.
No, it just seems to me that for the small business owner, for the startup anyway, who may very well have a very good product and service and demographic, and you believe in it, just based on your experience and your wisdom of age and all that.
Right.
That's a good selling point. I hate to use the word selling, but it's a good selling point for you because you're coming in there basically to them and you're making them an offer to be an outsourcing of top quality advertising and marketing guidance and expertise for a percentage of what the business will bring in based on your assistance, and that you're doing it basically quote unquote for free because you believe in that product, not because you have so much time on your hands. Just I don't know. Am I saying what? I think it's
now the hard part about that is you need to explain to somebody that just because we're going to redo your website for $10,000 or I'm going to buy radio time, I don't make anything on that. I mean, I make a little bit, like I just explained. So, you will be spending a certain amount of money that I can't control because you've got to pay for things. You got to pay for things. That's the way it goes. Everybody's got to make money. So, but like I said, the fee that I get for doing all this for you, because you can do it yourself, and you see where that got you. That's why you bring me along.
So my last question, no one seems to be asking, so I'm going to ask you. So basically, we know that a good source of referrals for you obviously are businesses, small to medium-sized businesses. They've got a few $1 million a year in their budget and all that. But are interesting startup businesses potential sources of referrals for you to reach out to potential?
Yeah, in fact, what I'm working with one right now, which is the guy's trying to get revenue right now. So he came to me and said, here's my idea that I want to do. I thought it was a really good idea. He said, I'm going out to investors to talk to them, but I need to put together a business plan for them. I said, okay, well, part of your business plan should be a marketing plan. I will work with you, put the marketing plan together for free to include in your business plan. Now go sell it with the caveat that if you do get this investment, you need to use me to do your marketing and advertising. So I definitely will do that. And certainly there are a lot of startups that have a lot of capital.
Yeah.
And they need to know, and that's why I focus on the reporting, because the investors, the venture capital people, or the angel investors, or whoever it is, wants to know that what you're doing is going to have some return. So they love the idea of me being able to provide these reports and that kind of stuff.
So angel investors are good sources of referrals to you too, because I'm thinking about this in the other way. I know I have some clients of mine in the Syrian community in Brooklyn. I mean, this is what they do. They keep within the community. They put a hell of a lot of money into this young Syrian men and women that have great ideas in the community. But I'm just saying, maybe they could be a good source of referrals too, because they're willing to put their money in and they take a chance, but they want maybe a professional like you to say, wait a minute, I'll give you $1 million if this guy shows me how that's going to work for me.
Yeah.
So VC people are good for you too, aren't they?
Yeah, VC angel investors, absolutely.
Okay, does anybody else have any questions? I'm just full of them today. Okay. Good. All right, it was great. It was really, really good.
Thank you.
Very, very good. Very good.